used to call me the ugly high school graduate, and my own family disowned me. 10 years later, I saw them again at my sister's wedding. When her husband asked, "Do you know her?" I simply replied, "More than you think." I'll never forget the look on their faces when I walked into the reception hall. It had been a decade since they threw me out. 10 long years since my family decided I wasn't worthy of them because I didn't meet their standards of beauty or success. 3 weeks earlier, the wedding invitation had arrived at my office, a reminder of a past I thought I'd left behind. Sarah Martinez and Michael Fuentes, the son of a real estate magnate. Of course, it was the perfect union for the Martinez family. A merger of beauty, status, and wealth. My heels clicked a steady, determined rhythm on the marble floor as I pushed the doors open. The air was thick with the scent of gardenias and expensive perfume. 100 conversations hummed, glasses clinked, and for a moment, I was just another guest. Then the eyes found me, not with recognition, but with curiosity. Who was the woman in the simple, devastatingly elegant crimson dress, walking with an ownership they didn't understand? I saw them then, clustered around the main table like a royal court. My father, Edward, his hair a distinguished silver now, but his posture still rigid with self-importance. My mother, Clara, a delicate shadow in lavender silk, her smile as practiced as ever. And Sarah, my God, Sarah. She was a vision in lace and satin, a diamond tiara nestled in her golden curls. She was the princess in the fairy tale our parents had written for her at my expense. A decade since the night of my high school graduation. I had been buzzing with a nervous excitement, my future a blank, hopeful page. Then I'd overheard him. My father, on the phone in his study, the door slightly ajar. "Yes, Sarah is the jewel of the family," he'd said, a laugh in his voice. "The older one, well, let's just say she didn't inherit the good genes. An ugly graduate doesn't reflect well on the family business image." The words didn't just hurt, they dismantled me. They confirmed every sidelong glance, every side, "If only you'd try harder," every time I'd been cropped out of a family photo for a company brochure. The confrontation the next day was worse. I stood in that same study, my voice trembling as I repeated what I'd heard. Instead of shame, my father's face had hardened into a mask of cold fury. "You were eavesdropping. What did you expect to hear, Lucy?" "The truth. Sarah has always been the public face of this family. You simply don't fit into our plans." My mother had stood by the window, her back to me, a silent endorsement of my exile. I left that night with 2 suitcases and a broken heart. The silence that followed was more deafening than any argument. No calls, no pleas to return. A month later, a distant cousin informed me they had formally written me out of the will. I was erased. The years that followed were my forge. I used their rejection as fuel. Waitressing by night, studying business administration by day, I built a life from the ground up. The acne cleared. The braces came off, replaced by a smile I'd learned to wear with genuine confidence. The thick glasses were swapped for contacts, and my body transformed through years of discipline and self-care. But the most profound change was inside. I built a financial consulting firm from nothing, and the sweetest irony was that we often advised my father's competitors. Every success was a quiet rebellion. I hadn't come for reconciliation. I had come for justice. I wanted them to see the magnificent phoenix that had risen from the ashes of their disdain. I weaved through the tables, a splash of red in a sea of pastels. I reached the main table just as Sarah was laughing at something her new husband said. Her eyes, the same shade of hazel as mine, met mine, and the laughter died in her throat. Her jaw went slack. "Lucy," she whispered, the name a ghost at her wedding feast. Michael, handsome and charmingly confused, looked from her pale face to my calm one. "Do you know her, sweetheart?" I let the moment hang in the air, savoring the confusion in his eyes, the panic in my sister's. I smiled, a slow, easy curve of my lips. "More than you think," I said, my voice steady. "I'm her older sister." The word sister landed like a stone in a still pond. "Sister," Michael stammered, looking between us. "You never mentioned an older sister." Sarah's face was a perfect canvas of horror. Behind her, my parents descended, their smiles frozen and brittle. "Lucy!" My father boomed, the consummate performer. He stepped forward, placing a firm hand on my shoulder, a gesture meant to convey familiarity but felt more like a restraint. What an unexpected surprise. We didn't know if you would come. His voice was all polished brass, the one he used when a business deal was going south. I couldn't miss my only sister's wedding, I replied, my smile never wavering. After all, family is the most important thing. Isn't that what you always said, Dad? I saw a muscle twitch in his jaw. My mother floated in for a mechanical hug, her perfume a familiar, suffocating cloud. You look different, she said, her eyes scanning me like an appraiser assessing a piece of art she'd previously dismissed as a fake. 10 years can change a person, I said, holding her gaze, especially when they have to rebuild their life from scratch. The barb landed. Michael, ever the diplomat, tried to smooth the waters. It's a pleasure to meet you, Lucy. Sarah never. Well, I'm glad you're here. I shook his proffered hand. There are many things about the Martinez family you still don't know, Michael. Sarah found her voice, a little too high, a little too tight. Lucy decided to follow her own path years ago, she explained quickly to Michael. We had differences of opinion. I couldn't help the soft, bitter laugh that escaped me. What an elegant way to say they disowned me for not meeting their aesthetic standards. The humiliation I suffered in this family has a more precise name than differences of opinion, Sarah. A thick silence fell over our little circle. My father's face was ashen. He leaned in, his voice a low, threatening hum. This is not the time or place, Lucy. It's your sister's special day. Of course, I conceded with a gracious nod. I wouldn't want to ruin another family celebration. I had enough with my own graduation. Remember when you called me the ugly graduate who didn't reflect well on the company's image? The color drained completely from his face. He never knew I'd heard the exact phrase. Michael was looking at him with a new, unsettling curiosity. I don't know what you're talking about, my father blustered. I think you know perfectly well, I said, my voice still calm. But as you said, this is Sarah's day. Let's enjoy the party. I turned and walked away, feeling the heat of their collective gaze on my back. The first volley had been fired. I found solace at the bar, ordering a glass of champagne. A man in a well-tailored dark suit approached. He had intelligent eyes and a calm demeanor. Impressive entrance, he commented, raising his own glass. Gabriel Vega, he introduced himself. Michael's partner at the firm. Lucy Martinez. Martinez? As in, the bride's older sister. The one nobody mentions. I took a sip of my drink. I worked with your father on some projects years ago, he said. An interesting man. I smiled. Diplomacy is your specialty, I see. He chuckled, though I sense you prefer direct honesty. Honesty cost me my place in this family, I replied, meeting his gaze. So yes, I value it quite a bit. Our conversation was interrupted by the first dance. We watched as Sarah and Michael swayed on the floor, the picture of fairy tale bliss. It seems there's an interesting story behind your absence from the family photos, Gabriel murmured. A story of toxic family and impossible expectations, I said, not taking my eyes off my sister. I'd love to hear it sometime. There was something in his tone that went beyond polite interest. Why the interest? He hesitated for a fraction of a second. Let's say your father and I didn't end our business on good terms, and I suspect you might have valuable information. So, I wasn't the only one with a score to settle with Edward Martinez. The plot was thickening. I spent the next hour as a ghost at the feast, watching my parents scurry to keep me away from important guests, especially Michael's family. Their fear was a palpable thing. When dinner was announced, I was placed at a table on the periphery with distant cousins who eyed me with a mixture of pity and morbid curiosity. Then came the speeches. My father stood, glass in hand, the proud patriarch. He spoke of Sarah, his greatest pride, a family love of legacy. Each word was a lie that coated the air like syrup. The anger I had carefully banked for years began to simmer. When he finished, the MC opened the floor for other well-wishers. An impulse, born of a decade of silenced pain, took hold. I stood and walked to the microphone before I could second-guess myself. I saw the panic flash in my parents' eyes, the silent plea on Sarah's face. I took the microphone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lucy Martinez, Sarah's older sister. A ripple of surprised murmurs traveled through the room. For those wondering why you've never seen me at family gatherings, I continued, Let's just say I've been building my own path away from here. I looked directly at my sister. Sarah, you were always the family star, the perfect child. Today, seeing you so radiant, I understand why. I paused, letting the tension build. I wish you all the happiness in the world. And to you, Michael, I wish you wisdom to truly know the family you've just joined into. I returned to my seat amidst a smattering of confused applause. I hadn't declared war, but I had drawn a battle line in the sand. Later, as dessert was served, Michael found me. Can we talk? He asked, his expression serious. We moved to a quiet alcove. Your speech was interesting, he began. I was quite discreet, considering the circumstances. What circumstances, exactly? He asked, genuine confusion in his eyes. Sarah has barely mentioned you. She said you distanced yourself voluntarily. I weighed my words. Families are complicated, Michael. Let's just say the Martinez standards for success and beauty are rigorous. I didn't meet them, so I was shown the door. Are you telling me they kicked you out? The disbelief was stark on his face. I'm telling you that you should know the family you've married into, I said softly. Especially if you plan to have children someday. The implication hit its mark. His face changed. There's something else I should know, isn't there? Before I could answer, Sarah descended. A frantic smile plastered on her face. Michael! Honey, they need us for photos. She shot me a venomous look. As Michael walked away, Sarah turned on me. What do you think you're doing? She hissed. You come here after 10 years to ruin everything. Ruin it? I'm just having a conversation. Unlike you, I don't hide the truth about our toxic family. The truth, she spat, her voice low. You always played the victim. You were always jealous of me. The accusation was so childish it almost made me laugh. Jealous? Sarah, I didn't want your beauty or your popularity. I just wanted a family that would accept me as I was. I guess that was asking too much. You left, she stated, as if that erased their complicity. Really? Rewriting history. Have you told Michael how they modified the will a month after I left? Or how Dad made sure none of his business contacts would hire me? She paled. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you do. The pieces were finally clicking into place. You know what, Sarah? For years, I thought I hated you. But now, I realize I owe you all gratitude. If you hadn't cast me out, I'd never have discovered my own strength. I'd never have built my company. Company? She asked, and I saw a flicker of something, curiosity, envy in her eyes. Financial consulting, I said. We advise several companies that compete with Dad. In fact, last year we were instrumental in the acquisition that almost destroyed his Monteverde project. Her eyes widened in recognition. The failed project that had cost my father millions. Now she knew I was behind it. That was your revenge, she whispered. That was business, I corrected. Revenge is just beginning tonight. Before she could respond, Gabriel appeared, a charming smile on his face. Sorry to interrupt. Lucy, would you grant me this dance? I took his hand, leaving my sister speechless on the edge of the dance floor. The night wore on, and I saw the cracks spreading through the Martinez family's perfect facade. Michael was distant. My parents were strained. During a final toast, my father took the microphone again, extolling the values the Martinez represent. Each word felt like a deliberate slap. But then, the unexpected happened. Frank Fuentes, Michael's father and the true titan in the room, stood up. Tonight has been revealing in many ways, he began, his voice cutting through the polite chatter. He looked directly at my father. I've learned that appearances can be deceiving, and that sometimes a family's true talents can remain hidden. He then turned his gaze to me. I'm pleased to announce a professional collaboration with a brilliant businesswoman I just discovered is a member of the Martinez family. Lucy, your achievements at Altus Consultants are exactly what Fuentes Corporation needs. The silence was absolute. Then, a wave of astonished murmurs. My father looked as if he'd been physically struck. The ultimate validation had come not from him, but from his rival. The ugly graduate was now a sought-after partner. As the reception ended, my mother approached me, her smile a fragile thing. Lucy, dear, what a wonderful surprise. We always knew you had potential. Please, Mom, I said, my voice gentle but firm. Spare me. We both know my potential, only became visible when a man like Frank Fuentes recognized it publicly. "That's not fair," she protested weakly. "We always loved you." "Did you?" I asked, looking at her, really looking at the woman who had stood by and let it all happen. "You want to talk about fairness? How about the disinheritance? How about Dad blacklisting me in this city?" She couldn't hold my gaze. "Your father only wanted what was best for the family business." "The best for his ego, you mean?" I shook my head. "But you know what? I thank him for it. If he hadn't rejected me so completely, I would never have discovered my own strength." My father joined us, his confidence visibly shaken. "Lucy," he began, "it seems you've been quite successful on your own. I'm impressed." "No, Dad. You're alarmed." I held his gaze. "You're worried about my association with Frank Fuentes. You're worried the secrets will come out. Like how you appropriated Gabriel's investment system. Or how you manipulated the Monte Verde contracts." The blood drained from his face. "How do you know?" "I followed every step of Martinez investments for 10 years, I said quietly. "Do you think my role in ruining the Monte Verde project was a coincidence?" For the first time in my life, I saw something other than disappointment or anger in my father's eyes. It was respect, mixed with fear. He was finally seeing me not as a disappointing daughter, but as an equal, a formidable one. "What is it you want?" he asked, slipping into his negotiation voice. "Now." "Nothing," I said honestly. 10 years ago, I just wanted a family that valued me for who I was. Now, I just wanted you to see what I became despite you. My mother tried one last time. "Lucy, maybe we could meet soon. Talk properly. Family is important." "Family," I replied, my heart aching with a final, bittersweet twinge, "is who accepts and loves you unconditionally. You were never that for me." I turned to leave. My father called out, "Lucy, wait." When I looked back, his facade had crumbled completely. "Is there any possibility of repair?" I looked at this broken, proud man, and the woman beside him who had chosen compliance over her own child. The revenge I had craved for so long suddenly felt hollow. Winning had not healed the old wounds. It had just given me the power to see them for what they were. "I don't know, Dad," I replied softly, "but if you really want to try, you'll have to do something you've never done. Value me for who I am, not for what I can contribute to you." I walked out of the hotel and into the clean night air. Gabriel was waiting, true to his word. "Everything okay?" he asked. I took a deep breath, the weight of the past decade finally lifting from my shoulders. "Surprisingly, yes," I said. "I think I've finally stopped being the ugly graduate. I'm just Lucy." And as we drove away from the glittering hotel, I knew the story wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure. It was about a woman who had walked through fire and emerged, not with ashes but with steel. I had my own life, my own success, my own truth. And that was the only victory that ever really mattered.